Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Madhava ki jai. We have a last minute edition. Shyam goes to India. Give a talk as well. Was that? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Do this together. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tadodayam Sirayet Nasta Preshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Reshki. Studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2. We can do verses 33 till the end. I thought it was 37. And so, in this section, Yashikadeva Goswami is going to glorify Bhakti Yoga specifically, after he has spoken about how one can make progress through looking at the Virat Rupa and focusing on meditating on the super soul in the heart and so forth. Now he's going to specifically say what is the best process for those wandering in the material universe. So we have about, not 4 or 5 verses maybe we can read. You want to start, Prema? Let's start from 33 and then go down. No, we'll go back to 33.
Hare Krishna. For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna.
The great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion.
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence.
O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere.
Those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him, the personality of Godhead.
All right, let's do the verse. Sure. Nahiyatonya Shivak Panta
Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta
Vishatak Samsmrita Viha
Vishata Samsmita Viha
Vasudevi Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhave
Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhave
Nahiyatonya Shivak Panta
Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta
Vishatak Samsmrita Viha
Vishata Samsmita Viha
Vasudevi Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhave
Yoga Tonvaya.
Please chant.
Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta Vishata Samsmita Viha Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhave
Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta
Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta
Samastra Iha
Vishata Samsmita Viha
Vasudeva Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Yoga Yato Bhahe
Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhave Nahiyatonya Shiva Panta Vishata Samvita Viha Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhave
शिवपन्था
Naitonya Shiva Panta
संश्रिता विहा
Vishata Samsmita Viha
देवे भगवती
Vasudeve Bhagavati
भक्ति योगो यतो भवे
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhave Naitonya Shiva Panta Vishata Samsmita Viha Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhave. Do it together. No, never, he certainly, Ata, beyond this, Anya, any other, Shiva, auspicious, Panta, means, Vishata, one, Samsmitao, in the material world, Iha, in this life, Vasudeve, unto Lord Vasudeva Krishna, Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Bhakti Yoga, direct devotional service, Yata, wherein, Bhave, is love. The translation together. For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. Right, and I'd like to read the purport in the audience. Lost audience.
Will be clarified in the next verse. Devotional service or direct bhakti yoga is the only absolute and auspicious means of deliverance from the grip of material existence. There are many indirect methods for deliverance from the clutches of material existence, but none of them is as easy and auspicious as bhakti yoga. The means of jnana and yoga and other allied disciplines are not independent in delivering a performer. Such activities help one to reach the stage of bhakti yoga after many, many years. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is said that those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Absolute are liable to many troubles in the pursuit of their desired goal. And the empiricist philosophers searching after the Absolute Truth realize the importance of Vasudeva realization as all in all after many, many births. As far as yoga systems are concerned, it is also said in the Bhagavad Gita 6.47 that amongst the mystics who pursue the absolute truth, the one who is always engaged in the service of the Lord is the greatest of all. And the last instruction in the Bhagavad Gita advises fully surrendering unto the Lord, leaving aside all other engagements or different processes for self-realization and liberation from material bondage. And the purport of all Vedic literatures is to induce one to accept the transcendental loving service of the Lord by all means.
There's more. Go ahead. All right. You want to do it, Jonathan?
As already explained in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, either direct bhakti yoga or the means which ultimately culminate in bhakti yoga without any tinge of fruitive activity constitutes the highest form of religion. Everything else is simply a waste of time for the performer. Srila Siddhara Swami and all other acharyas like Jiva Goswami agree that bhakti yoga is not only easy, simple, natural, and free from trouble, but is the only source of happiness for the human being.
All right, any thoughts?
Yeah. Just this last part of the commentary where Prabhupada says that there is no more easy, simple, natural, and free of trouble. And I remember Bhakti Maharaj was saying how, does anybody else have, he was speaking in the audience and he asked the audience, does anyone have a better, more fun, more exuberant method of practicing love of God yet? He said, we have the best diet, we have the best festivals, best dancing. He said, we even have the best sex life because it doesn't keep us entangled. So it's really the best in a wonderful way. And a verse says that for those who are wandering in this material world, and if you think about the word wandering, and how long we have been doing that. For many, many lifetimes, we've been a bug, we've been a cockroach, we've been a monkeys, all of that stuff, and we finally get this human form of life, and we shouldn't waste it. That's it's kind of like you in a big circle, right? Like if you go to Formula One racing, there is always a pit you can stop. You can exit. So once you get to it, you get this door back to yoga. So it's really sad if we have this door, and door is open to us. Prabhupada opened the back door to us, so and we not use it. So we should try to stop the wanderings.
Yeah, it's like the real pit stop, the final pit stop. And I was thinking about wandering, and how you were saying, in lifetimes. And I was thinking, even in this life, people wander so much. Like a lot of us wandered around a lot before we found Krishna consciousness. And even after we sometimes find Krishna consciousness, we might still wander around a lot in our minds. And even, every day I feel like every day for us is like a fresh start in Krishna consciousness. It's just a fresh day, and it's like a day again to become Krishna conscious. And the mind might wander all over the world, all over the universe, all over the material creation. But then, you bring it down, sit down, and then you do japa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then the mind might wander again, elsewhere. And there was a class by Ravindra Surupru, and he was saying that, the mind always wanders. That's his dharma, basically. That's his job. And but attentive japa means we at least try to bring it back. If you do that, at least if you attempt to bring it back, from wherever the mind's going to, then it's attentive japa. And of course, if the mind can just stay on that platform, that's attentive japa. But even just that sincere attempt to bring you back is also attentive japa. Correct? That's what I remember. It's the default mode it's the wanderer. Yeah. The wanderer. So it's like we have been wandering through all the lifetimes, through all the bodies, and the mind keeps wandering, going through. And just in our short life, I feel like so much has happened in our lives, and there's so many things to think about, what to talk of previous lifetimes. But it's quite entangling, really. Every life you have a set of parents, you have a spouse, you have kids, and so forth, and repeat. It's like rinse and repeat. Huh?
You have love.
You have
a species of love.
True love.
Cockroach loves a cockroach.
There was this one time when Lord Indra was king of the heavenly realms. He was cursed. He became a pig, right? And he has his little pig wife and his little piglets, and then and he was quite attached to them. And then when Lord Brahma came and he said, dear Mr. Pig, you have to go back and become Lord Brahma, so Lord Indra again. Do your duty. We need you up there. And then Mr. Pig was like, but I have my family. I've got my little piglets and my pig wife, and how can I leave them? And Lord Brahma just took a sword out and he killed his family. And he's like, no! I don't know what exactly Lord Brahma said at that point. I don't remember from that section of the Bhagavatam. But it's quite graphic, isn't it? That's what I remember from a lecture by Radha Maharaj. But I do not know what Brahma said. But I think at that point, Indra was like, all right, I'm ready. Again, the point was Brahma was showing this as temporary, it's illusory. So kill the family. It's a bit intense. And it's quite traumatizing. But it's the point being that you wander through all the material universe, go through all these traumas and all these things, but in the broader scheme of things, it's like, what is our actual final pit stop, And I was appreciating Radhika Raman's point the other day when he said, how can you, after a long journey, you come back and you have your own bed, and you're like, oh, it's nothing like that, So it's like when you go back to the spiritual world, it's like bringing our original position. And I'm sure, how many of you have been in awkward positions in life? Just in awkward situations. Ever? Not Nate, no. Never. What about Amrita? Have you ever been in awkward situations, Amrita? Anyone else? Gopal? Never. Right now. This is a class by learning, huh? Yeah, if you've never been in an awkward situation, let me know. I can put you in there. I remember this one devotee, she moved into the ashram, and it was the first day or second day. And she asked, "Oh, do you have any service?" And I said, "Yes, we have these buckets full of rotting stuff. We have to throw it out." She said, "Sure." So she did it. So yeah, if you ever need awkward service. Well, she stayed for one semester. But yeah, it's like everybody can be in such awkward situations, right? And then when you come to just a normal situation where you come to, maybe be with somebody who you can relate to or just who can comfort you, it's just so comforting. So the material realm is that awkward, really, really long, awkward situation. And, so many awkward things happen in this world, so many awkward things we have to deal with. And then finally, when we're able to go back, and not just go back, actually, even in this currently awkward situation, when one actually taps into that, our original nature, then, then we feel that, we feel of that sense of like calmness, we sense that sense of ourself. We feel the sense of like, oh yeah, this is like the right thing, or this is what makes sense. And feel the sense of making sense now. And yeah, when one does really taps into what our original nature is, I'm sure all of you have been in a position where it's like you really don't want to do something, it's just not something you do, and but you're kind of forced to do it, and it's like it's just so awkward and weird. It's like I don't want to ever do this again. So that's kind of like being in the material world. Like, yeah, this is so awkward. And of course, our subtle body and the mind and intelligence kind of after lifetimes kind of gets used to a little bit, to the material world, and you just keep going through the cycles of birth and death. But when that's the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement, to really share Krishna consciousness, to share the holy name with all the little jivas walking outside, and so that they can really experience what the original service is, the original what they're originally meant to do. When they experience it, then it's like kind of wakes them up, and depends on how much deep of a slumber they are in, and but it does affect them, it does leave an impression. And sooner or later, once they've heard the name of Krishna, once they've taken a little bit of prasadam, at Krishna lunch, once they've just even once appreciated devotees, taking their first step in spiritual life. They're taking their first step in this waking up, reawakening to who they really are, what they're meant to do, and so forth. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking that the awkward situation begins even before we take birth, while we're in the womb. It's quite an awkward situation.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's a very tight spot. If you're claustrophobic, you're not gonna like it. And it says that the experience of birth is quite a lot more, brings a lot more suffering than death. You can imagine it's what the mother goes through, but what child goes through, it's quite, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also, awkward. It begins awkward and ends awkward. This cold bed, where you die. It's very awkward, and awkward for the reason that it's not real nature. It's why when we all get old, and we hear a lot that people in their later stages of their life, they always say, I feel this young, I feel the same desires, I have same strength, and I feel like a young man, and yet my body, it's an awkward situation. It doesn't sync up. What is it? And so it is awkward for the soul. And I have one more story about a piglet. About a pig. There's a lot of examples of the pig, because pig is considered to be the lowest, mode of ignorance animal. It lives in the filth, it eats filth, and all the stool and stuff. So there was this yogi who, during his practice, he had fell down. But because of his practice, he was able to see that in the future, next life I will become pig. So he's like, well, what's the best thing I can do? He went to his disciple and he said, listen, this had happened. Well, in fact, he was crying, and the disciple came and asked him, my Guru Maharaj, why are you crying and what's happening? So he told him what happened. And he said, listen, I'm taking the birth of the pig in my next life. So you got to promise me something. He said, that pig I will be born from a pig of the hunter. And that piglet, that will be me, it will have a white spot on the forehead. So here's what I want you to do. Go there. As soon as I'm born, buy that piglet, take it out and kill it. I don't want to spend a second in this body, in that pig's body. Just promise me that. It's like, I can't kill an animal, Guru Maharaj. Well, you got to do it for your Guru Maharaj. Okay. So, due course of time, Guru passed away. And the disciple started visiting the hunter, just keeping an eye on the pig. And the hunter was like, since your guru left, you seem to show a lot of interest in my pig. Is everything all right? No, I'm just coming, taking a look. And in due time course, the pig got pregnant and gave birth to those bunch of piglets. And among them was this one piglet had a white spot on his forehead. And the disciple asked the hunter, do you mind if I buy from you? He's like, sure. He buys a piglet and he takes it in the forest and he takes out a big knife. He looks at the piglet looks at him. And he's about to cut his head off. And the piglet says, wait. And I'm sorry, the piglet said, wait, but the disciple looked at the piglet and with his beautiful eyes and he froze for a second. And just for the second, and then after I have to do it. And he started cutting and the piglet said, wait. He's like, what, Guru Maharaj? He's like, the minute you waited, the second you waited, I developed desire to enjoy this body.
Interesting.
So now I will have to live this life through. But it shows how the propensity, as soon as we get the body, propensity to enjoy comes. Luckily, the story goes that Krishna comes and all right, just live this body. And so he took care of it. But it's just, the example shows how even in the lowest types of the body, we still have this propensity to enjoy. And Shruti Prabhu was saying how that original nature has to be woken up. He said that going back to God, it doesn't necessarily mean dying. Going back to God, it really means this getting our mind in the right stage. Because by default, I like the example of Nanda. By default, imagine you're driving a car. As soon as you let go of the wheel, default is going to probably drive in a ditch, crash. So the super soul, we got to get control of our life. We got to steer it where it's supposed to go. And I think my Guru Maharaj also says that the same thing. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to die. But in this, if you think that you're going to go back to Godhead when you die and think of Krishna, he says, not really the process. The process is you're already back to God while you're in this lifetime. And then it's just a natural process of closing door and opening door. Such a sweet process. And and Krishna reciprocates with that. I heard an interesting detail yesterday. Everybody heard about Krishna going to Vidura, to visit Vidura, and how his wife Vidurani was feeding him the banana peels instead of a banana. But there is a little detail that Maharaj said that he never heard before. He said when Krishna went and he started knocking on the door, Vidurani was actually taking a bath. And she said, and she heard Krishna's voice. And Vidurani said, well, wait, I'm still, just took my bath, I'm dressing up. And Krishna took his dhoti and he ripped half of his dhoti and gave it to her so she can cover herself. And she said, well, I'm gonna cook something for you. He's like, no, I'm really hungry, I want to eat right now. She said, I don't want you to cook, so give me something right now. And she started giving, she was so concerned, she just started giving the banana peels and throwing by the bananas. And Krishna said he liked those banana peels more than the bananas of Vidura gave him later. So Krishna really accepts that service. It's such a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think in that pastime, Krishna refused to go to Duryodhana. Duryodhana was arranging like a nice feast to kind of impress on Krishna. Krishna was like, it's okay. I have my lunch at Vidura's. I have my meal at Vidura's.
Gonna go to Krishna lunch.
But that's what Krishna always looks for. And I was thinking about this particular verse Shukadeva Goswami is saying that the bhakti yoga, that to Vasudev specifically one has to show bhakti. And in the end, the last verse says, those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him, the personality of Godhead. And I was reflecting, in the Bhagavatam, we hear about there's mystic yoga, there is, of course, the empirical method of finding out, just what's right, what's wrong, you do the scientific study and so forth. There are different methods in this world to study what reality is, what truth is, right? And I was thinking, but for the most part, for most religions, I feel like there isn't, bhakti is there for the most part. There's of course, it's all some weird religions, but for the most part, generally, there's, it's just you pray to God, and you worship God, and you think of God, and you hear about God. Maybe not so much these.
You believe in God.
You believe in God. Oh, yeah. Just believe, yeah. But I feel like the aspects of bhakti yoga are there in smaller forms or other. And there's, mystic yoga is practically non-existent in any other tradition, really. It's just mostly in the Vedic tradition. It might be there in some forms in other traditions, but not as much. Mystic Christianity is there, yeah. But primarily it's just like, for the common people, it's like you pray to God and you remember God and you call out to God. And I was thinking that, it's true actually for the common population, for all of us, that, there is no auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at direct devotion service to Lord Krishna. And I was thinking of the 9 types of bhakti, the 9 limbs of devotional service, different ways of one can perform devotional service. And devotional service, and there's so many pastimes where it doesn't have, devotional service does not mean like, performing this huge mystic acts and just doing all these austerities and, going up to the mountains. It does not, one need not do that actually. And in a sense, bhakti yoga is harder because it is a matter of the heart. One has to give up that false ego that I am the doer. One has to really depend on Krishna. And I was thinking of Shabri this morning. So there was this lady Shabri. She went to this ashram, and her guru was there. The guru had the ashram, and she was serving her guru, and and in the end, the guru and his disciples, they were leaving the bodies, and they're going to go back to Godhead basically. And then he said to Shabri that no, you wait. You have to wait. You have to wait for Lord Ram to come. And when he comes, then please, you can serve him, and then you'll be delivered. So she accepted her guru's words, and then she stayed, and then for years she waited, and she would keep the ashram together, and she would just wait every day with some fruits for Lord Ram, patiently waiting for years. Can you imagine this patiently waiting? But just think about the amount of absorption a person like that would have, that yes, today Krishna will come, today Lord Ram will come, and I will serve him. So like when we do our japa, we could have that mood that yes, today Krishna will appear on my tongue and my mind and so forth, and I can serve Krishna. If you have that mood, not that you keep thinking today Krishna will come, Hare Krishna, but like that mood, like just calling out when you chant Krishna's name, you just call out with this longing, or we call out with this, like you're calling your friend, you're calling you're somebody you love, or you're calling somebody who you need, And for me, it's the best japa is when I'm distressed. I'm like, Krishna, like I don't know what to do, basically every day. And but yeah, that's like when you call out to Krishna. So Shabri was waiting every day, like when Lord Ram's gonna come. And then finally he came, Lord Ram came, and Shabri gave him these fruits. And Lakshman, the younger brother, who was a little more hot-headed than Lord Ram, he noticed that the fruits had little bite marks. And he was like, what are you doing? You're giving these fruits that have already been chewed on to Lord Ram? And then Lord Ram was like, don't worry about this.
I think she was old and blind, and so she was checking each fruit.
Oh, yeah.
When he saw that, he was like, I'm just going to kill her.
Oh my God. Yeah, she was checking if the fruits were good enough, for Lord Ram. And Lakshman was that? Any sour fruits to him. So yeah, it's just such a beautiful pastime. I mean, there's more details to it, but listen. Exactly.
When you're on the same level.
Yeah,
when you're all in blind.
Yeah. You're all in blind. That's funny. When you wait every day for years for Krishna to appear, yeah, then follow your guru's instruction for years and years waiting, yeah, then. But yeah, just there's so much bhakti. The process of bhakti is there in many traditions, and of course, even with Jesus Christ, it's like really just taught bhakti. He just somehow, for the audience he had at that point, he just packaged it in that way, and just remember God and so forth. And yeah, the Bhagavatam, it's really elaborated. So yeah, the 9. Anyone remember what are the 9 limbs of Bhakti Yoga? What's the first one? Shravana, which is hearing, and then which is chanting, and then Vishnu Smaranam, which is remembering, and then what else? Pada Sevanam. What's Pada Sevanam? Serving the feet, which is what, Didi worship? That's Archanam, that's the next one. So it's Didi worship. And then Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. What is Vandanam? Offering prayers, yeah. And then Dasyam, which is being servant. Sakyam, being a friend. And then full surrender. Was it that? I think Prabhupada mentioned that on purpose, right? He mentioned the 1866 that Krishna asks for full surrender. But yeah. And do you want to pull it up? It's 9 limbs, yeah. Just Google it, I guess. So yeah, Shavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, okay. Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Oh yeah, there's a bhajan, right? Govinda Das lists all these different ones. Oh yeah, so there you go. If you can see, can you make it bigger? So yeah, these are just different limbs of bhakti. The different things people can do, and so for all of us, we may be in the ashram or have a job or anything else for that matter. Whatever we might be doing, and one can perform these different activities. I was seeing. I saw a video in South India. There's, in the city, or well, not a city, I guess maybe it's a town. But every morning, the ladies, they come out of the house, they clean outside, and well, firstly they wake up their deities by singing this particular song. It says, wake up, Krishna, Vati Uti Gopala, is that song? So it's wake up, and so they wake up God, and then they go outside and they clean, and then they make these designs welcoming basically Krishna, like, okay, we're making this entrance nice, so you come in. So every day, every morning. So simple acts like that, it's acts of devotion service. So for us also in Bhakti Yoga, we regulate our lives and we add these various activities like japa, kirtan, hearing. First is hearing, Shruti. And you start with hearing is the most important, because if we don't hear, then sooner or later we won't be able to do the next processes, the other processes, chanting and so forth. So hearing is really key, and because if we don't hear, we'll forget. Basically, it'll just get covered over. So a little bit of hearing every day is so important. And any lecture, reading the Bhagavatam, something, do something, and then what's that? You have to hear to know what to do. Yeah. And one time, actually, Mahatma Prabhu was talking about this. He said that he was driving somewhere for like hours and hours, and he started playing Prabhupada's lectures. This like one after another. Just he had hours and hours of driving, and then Prabhupada, he talks about he talks about fools and rascals and this and that. And initially, like Mahatma was like, yeah, these fools and rascals. And then as time went by, and towards the end of the trip, he was like, I'm the fool and rascal. He did a lot of self-reflection. But it's true. It's like then when you hear, you start realizing, you start have so much realization. You know what to do basically. Then you see that what needs to be done. And so so we do definitely have to hear. Especially, it's nice to hear Prabhupada's lectures. And now they have the transcription as well if you can't understand the accent. But even I read the transcription is easy to follow. But yeah, you do hearing, and then you're able to speak, you're able to share Krishna with others, and and then the other processes. And in any one process, actually, if you perform and you perfect it, you will go back to Godhead. So just by hearing or chanting and so forth.
I remember we were actually talking 2 weeks ago about hearing and how hearing is not just the first step, but it's the step that accomplishes all the other levels.
Yeah.
So hearing is always there. It's not like I've done my hearing. No, it's goes along with each step.
Yeah.
And I had a point about believing. Swami Maharaj, he does it sometimes. He says, he asks his audience, who here believes in God? But raises the hand. He says, so what? So what? It's like, like, what does believing really urge you to do? I'm just believing God on Sundays and other things. But next step is love, is bhakti. Yeah, that's the next step, because that requires action. You can't just tell somebody I love you and be and be done with it. No, love means action. He said to love somebody, you have to know that person, right? So that's where the hearing comes in, and that's a bhakti. And you asked me in the hallway, you want to give class together? I said, what's the class about bhakti? And I thought, well, what is bhakti? And then I remembered Rad Maharaj once, he was talking about Prabhupada, and he was talking how Prabhupada was, when he first came to Boston, he said he wrote a prayer. You brought me here, I know, and I do not know where to go. I'm not sure if people will hear me, but somehow you gave me this name, Bhaktivedanta, so I'm a puppet, so make me dance as you like, make me dance as you like. And Rad Maharaj said, this is Bhakti Yoga. He said, this is Bhakti. Like full surrender. Krishna, I'm just an instrument in your hands, and use me, however you like. Yeah. So that's I figure, well, that's a good definition of Bhakti. Prabhupada is, our Acharya example, so what a best way to follow that.
Yeah. All right, we got 5 minutes. Any thoughts, comments, questions?
That this class makes me think of so many things to say, but anyway, it was very nice. The thing that mostly comes to mind is Prabhupada's purport to the Maha Mantra. I don't know if it was recorded on one of the early albums. Yeah. He said, this sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime process. And we see this same thing throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's really emphasized, especially in the first couple of cantos, this oral reception of the sound vibration. And I was thinking, if that's true and the Lord has revealed other religions, you might think that you should find that same process in other major world religions, and it is there. So, for instance, in the most ancient form of Christianity in the Orthodox East, their main process is chanting the name of Jesus Christ and hearing the prayers of the saints. And then even in Judaism, they have 72 names of God. And what's said in the Old Testament is that's the way that you should remember God. You should know him through his names. And each of his names are connected with one of his salvific pastimes towards his people. And even in Islam, they have the same kind of thing. I forget how many it is. It's a lot more, like 500, hundreds of names. And they use beads and they chant the names of Allah and remember him in that way. So anyway, it seems like that is not limited to just the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. That you find it in other religions that the Lord has revealed according to time, place, and circumstance. So.
One thought I had, especially when we read the purport and near the end, it was speaking about this process being so natural, so simple, so easy. And I think we have to be careful because sometimes we're used to, as we have been wandering through this material world, we're used to
try and struggle and be in anxiety and compete with others. So I think we can easily, when we come to the process of bhakti yoga, it's so simple that if we don't also just calm down and become simple, we can miss its significance and power. And we can think, okay, what do I still have to do? I need to do this, I need to do that. In actuality, you just have to chant every day, try and chant attentively, and try not to offend others, and work on yourself, and maybe try and improve day by day if you're committing offenses. That's all you have to do. So, we should never underestimate the power of this process just because it seems so simple. There's nothing wrong with something if it's simple. So we have a tendency to just want to overcomplicate everything and only place value on things that seem complicated or,
in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya was chanting and dancing in Benares, and the impressed sannyasis, the monks, they were like, especially the head in what's his name, Prakashananda Saraswati. He said, "Oh, who is this sentimentalist Chaitanya? He's in town and he's just chanting and dancing. What is he doing? He's disgracing his guru, who was his sannyas guru. Was it? Yeah, the sannyas guru he had was impressionist. Just like, what is this? This simple process of chanting. You have to study the books, the Vedanta sutras, be a scholar, and then you can really realize Brahman." And so it's like people think it has to be something so complicated, but actually the process of self-realization can be very joyful and simple. Yeah, what is complicated is us. Our minds are complicated, so everything seems complicated, but the process is simple. Yeah. In the first canto, one of the purports Prabhupada says, the process is simple, the application is difficult, because we can be so complicated, our minds can be so complicated. But that's the unique thing about Bhakti Yoga, especially the process given by Lord Chaitanya of Harinam Sankirtan, of chanting Krishna's name, that it's actually joyful, it's full of bliss. And it takes a little time to uncover that bliss, but if one really delves deeper into it, and if one really hears, actually, it really takes hearing, to be honest. It takes regular hearing to keep our mind on track that, this is the purpose of life. And the more we hear steadily, and the more we delve deeply into japa, into kirtan, and reading about Krishna, and sharing that with Krishna, then it becomes more and more joyful. But one has to hear regularly.
A comment pertaining to what we're talking about, awkward situations, and you give the example of the devotee who came the first day, and you gave the service of throwing away like a bucket of stuff. I remember similarly when Brihat Mridanga, the first day he came, it was summer 2018. I don't remember first interactions I had with him. But anyways, that was a weekend, and it was when summer break started between summer A and B, and that we had Maha cleanup that day. That was he arrived in the morning, and after a couple hours, we did Maha cleanup, and he did that very happily, and looked like where he is right now. And I have a picture from that day.
Oh yeah, a picture from that day.
That day, Brihat. Yeah.
Wait, oh my god.
He was so skinny.
I don't even recognize him. He had hair, I guess.
Yeah, and he was very skinny back then. I remember this t-shirt that he used to wear back then. That is Bapi.
That's Bapi.
Yeah. And the first day, he was completely in the grease and everything, cleaning Krishna lunch kitchen, and just amazing. I have another. Oh, if Adi Shyam Prabhu doesn't remember, we know that is Adi Shyam Prabhu. It's a bonus picture.
Oh, look, he's also skinny.
Anyways,
And the shirt's gone.
just wanted to share a couple memories from. Yes, very well.
Okay. Anything else? Any other points? Questions? I made him fat. Spiritually so, yes. Fat and bald. What else? Any comments, thoughts? Any have?
So Karthik just said a quick comment. You two should have a podcast.
He texted me.
What time is it?
Was that? It's 8:33. All right, breakfast now here. You have any points, Carmen? Say something, Carmen.
Nate.
Oh yeah, Nate. Go.
I was just wondering,
December 5th.
when Krishna kills someone, they get liberated. What happens when Brahma kills piglets? What happens to them?
The little piggies.
Was
What
there an
happens?
instance like that?
Was that?
Was there an instance like that?
Where Lord Brahma? Well, he killed the pigs, the family.
Wow.
That's what I've heard in the lecture. But, clearly remember, but I'll have to look it up again. But I have just very clear memory
What just think
of
you
that
provided in
lecture.
your body?
I mean, that would be our philosophical speculation. Somebody's killed by Lord Brahma will get a better birth, or a decent birth. Same mantras too. Yeah.
Ultimately, he's killed by Krishna. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, or I guess a broader question, like people who are, if somebody's killed by some great personality like Brahma, yeah, what happens to them?
I mean, that's usually in our stories that we hear. If somebody's cursed by a great soul, a great Brahmana, it's actually a blessing. So
It's actually a blessing. Yeah. Somehow or other, they still make advancement in life, a spiritual life in the future.
Prabhupada said
Friends.
so much for that Brahma killed Indra. He didn't say, he didn't mention the pigs. So he was-
I have to look it up. So he definitely killed Indra.
He said,
No, I remember hearing it in a lecture.
maybe it's from like a different show.
he said, I cannot go leading my family these pigs so many. And so he said, so Brahma purposely killed him and then take him.
Killed him.
No, killed
Him.
him. And then take him.
I wonder if I'm switching it. I mean, I remember him saying,
Those piglets ever do.
hey, what did those little piglets ever do? All right, so this has to be researched. Don't quote it anywhere else before we find conclusive statements. Yeah.
Somebody karma.
Sometimes when these stories are related in different sources,
Yeah.
Puranas and
I
whatnot,
guess.
it's relating what happened in the last creation of the day of Brahma, and
Could
so
be.
it slightly changes.
Could be, yes.
I had a comment. if
Yes,
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
I had two small comments.
Sure, go ahead.
Rasika Prabhu and Gopi Prabhu. So when you were talking about different traditions and how we serve God in different traditions, I've thought about this example how a dog can recognize its master, right? This famous example. And however clothes, whatever he wears, is an actor. So the same way. And Gopi Prabhu was saying how this process is very jubilant and I remember this. One day we gave class in San Francisco, and he was saying how there was just two overweight ladies, really overweight ladies, sitting in a class, and he was talking how they're not the body. And he said he heard the lady turn to the other one and said, "Hey, listen, did you hear that? They're not this body. What a relief!" So this process gives a great relief. And just imagine how all of a sudden you're not this body, and secondly, I'm not in control. What a relief. Nothing's dependent on me. I can't control anything. I'm not in charge. What a great relief. all I have to do is just serve Krishna and he will take care of that. So it's a wonderful
But
relief.
what if you have a beautiful body?
Even worse?
Huh?
Well, it's eventually all the beauty is gone so quick. So
That's true.
eventually you will be thinking, oh, thank God I'm on this body.
And normally a beautiful body, but might not have a beautiful mind. So there's always something that causes pain, one way or the other. There's something or the other. There's always there's some pinprick in this world. Yeah, you can't have everything. I was thinking when I was driving down the road and I saw this young couple holding hands together, and they all both look so beautiful. And I was thinking, there's. And I was thinking back in India, there's all kinds of people, and everyone, people are so poor, and they struggle through so much. But here in America, this is the epitome of material world. It's the young, beautiful couple. They're happy in this world. But I was thinking, I'm sure there are problems too. There's something, the mind is there. There's always something, One might not have. One always thinks like, oh, I wish I had that, and then the next person thinks, I wish I had that, and so forth and so forth. But the real satisfaction is in Krishna consciousness, wherever you are at materially.
I heard something yesterday. we have to always go back to Prahlad Maharaj's instruction. If you want to be happy in this world, stop trying to be happy in this world. What else? Oh, it's outside. Okay, sure, we'll do that. Did you have any thoughts from Francilla? Is that how you say your name? Do you have any thoughts on anything we spoke today?
Always better.
For those listening online, this is Gopaji and his mother.
Yes. I always learn so much from these classes, and yes, it's wonderful to be here. I'll wake up later.
Thank you. All right, we'll stop here then. Anything else? All right, Gatvarshan Bhagavatam ki. Sadi Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishya Pratham Rajan Vishwasane. Fortunate persons that have faith in Mahaprasad, spiritual food reverence the Lord, reveal Sri Govinda, personality God, and trust in the Krishna Naam and in the Vaishnavas. And Mahaprasad ki jai.